Hello again. You hear me?
There we go.
Sorry, you froze again.
Yeah, I decided to come back into the room that I was in last
Yeah,
week. I think the connection's better in here, and then it.
yeah.
Well, anyway, take two.
We take two, yeah.
Let me ask the question again.
Yeah.
Um, so, like, so for me, gigs are the cause of quite a lot of anxiety,
Mm.
because it's
Uh-huh.
and being on that side of the stage can be. But for you, it's a real lifeline, isn't it? To get out and
Yeah,
communicate with people.
yeah. I can see both sides of it. So I've also been on the stage myself, and
I
I
know
know
that.
how difficult it can be to put the spotlight on yourself. But
So,
I've also saw it as a way of I guess, communicating with people, and also the other thing which I found is that each, especially with the independent venues, each one of the venues will have its own mini community formed around it. So and so I did a whole UK tour for Independent Venue Week back in January, which
yeah.
was really good, and we ended at a place called the Boiler Room, which is in Guildford.
Oh, Guildford. I don't think I've ever played in Guildford.
No, it's very skillful. It's a bit of a dead end town, but it's so I went to music college there.
Well, that was the only thing I know about Guildford is there's a very, very good
Yeah,
music college because one of my ex-girlfriend's brother went there.
yeah.
Right.
Well, I went there for a year as well, and there was next to no live music, and it was really, and it's like, come on, you've got a massive music college. You need to have
No.
somewhere for these people to play because if otherwise, it's just like even though it's like half an hour away from London, half an hour train ride away.
Yeah.
You don't want to be going to London for gigs all the time.
No.
You want to be having some. I mean, like occasionally they have things happen at like the Civic Hall sort of thing,
Yeah.
or like you get like once in a blue moon someone come and play like the university sort of thing. But still, that wouldn't be very often at all, really.
And that sense of community that you mentioned
Yeah,
with the independent venues, you think that's more that must be stronger with the independent venues, I should think, than the bigger ones because it's easier to get to know people. There's less staff. People, I
yeah,
guess, put in a lot more time in, and they
and also there's a nicer atmosphere.
yeah.
Quite often there's a lot more friendly. It's less like kind of like gigs finished, everyone has to be booted out sort of thing,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
there's less pressure on people, I think, to some extent, because of I've got to know whether it's people who like at the exchange who are who also kind of run specialist subject records, or like at the Boiler Room gig,
Mm.
which I went to go and see John play on the final night of the tour. They literally upstairs they had like a whole load of artist studios. They had a
Oh,
tattoo
really?
parlor. They had a pizzeria out the back.
Nice.
They had they also had some kind of technology workshop space as well. So it's like kind of this so it was properly like a little hub.
Yeah. Well, I think you see that a bit more because the people who set up their own venues, they do it as a reaction to
Mm,
to the venues that pre-existed, and because of the competition,
yeah,
it seems like they find these quite ingenious ways of making them not just venues
mm,
and not just pizzerias or whatever. Like
yeah.
what was the place we played the first night of our tour, and I can't remember where it was. I don't even remember which part of the country it was, but the venue had its own brewery, and we played in front of these huge vats of lager
Oh
being
wow.
brewed, and it was lethal. It was
I can
actually,
I can imagine for you it'd be quite lethal.
it was terrible, terrible idea. First day of the tour, ridiculous.
Well,
And
especially as it almost like be home brewed lager sort of thing.
well, and they're so proud that they give you a bunch of it. You know, like this is our, we make this, and
Yeah,
and being the polite English gentleman that I am,
of course you're going to take some.
had to drink.
You're not really going to say no,
You know,
are you?
I've got to find out what it's called though, really quickly, because it was such a great venue. Oh, my memory is just getting
Is
worse.
it like down in Totnes or something like that?
It was up north. It was definitely up north. It's a famous painter who comes from there because there was an exhibition on round the corner, and I think I'd hurt my back and I had a mood, so I didn't go and check it out. God, right. Change the subject, and I will, because they should get a shout because they were lovely people.
Yeah.
And it was quite an experience, you know. In fact, I'll text my friend Matthew Searle because he came to the gig, and I think he really enjoyed it.
I mean, the only other time which I've ever heard of something like that happening was at Sea Change Festival.
Sea Change is great.
Yeah. And they quite often get the headliners. They make like they get the headliners to name like a signature brew.
Oh really?
Yeah.
That's nice.
So like the first year they had British Sea Power headlining, so they had obviously like a British Sea Power themed kind of brewery sort of thing.
Yeah.
And they had like it's just like that idea of like kind of playing in unusual spaces.
Yeah, I think I don't think of anywhere weird in that. We've played in libraries before, and I've played in churches. But none of them have ever been as problematic.
No.
Brewery, you know.
I wouldn't say like necessarily problematic, but sometimes, you know, like in Bristol, we've got several venues which are on a boat.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Like the Grain Barge, and we've got the Thekla.
The Thekla, yeah, I know it well, yeah.
Have you ever played the Grain Barge?
I think I have.
That's a great little place. I mean, that's like literally maximum about 100 people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a really comfy little boat.
See, if I had my way, it'd be a comfy little boat that I live on.
Yeah.
And we just go to ports around the UK, and then people come on, and then bugger off again. And someone drives me
like to different parts of the country as well.
Hey?
You can almost take them to different parts of the country.
That's it. It could be an on-off. You know, you buy a ticket, you start in Liverpool, you go to Holyhead, get down to Bristol.
Yeah, and then you can go like you can go like all the way around the Channel.
Yeah, it'd be fantastic. Yeah.
That'd be such an interesting way of like kind of a touring as well.
Can only dream, Jeff.
I know, to be honest, it probably make things a lot easier because then you just sort of have to do more up and just like go like.
Well, I feel like logistically, all the hard bits would be someone else's problem.
Yeah.
And more importantly, I would get to sit on a boat for 2 weeks instead of going up the M25 and eating at Burger King all the time.
Yeah, I know that's the thing is obviously when you're on tour, it's obviously like kind of knowing how to like keep a balance of like eating well and like kind of.
To be honest, this is why I'm not on a big sell for the independent venues, but that's where you notice that's where you get looked after the most. They're much more like when we go to Europe, the local promoters, because you're English, they fight to get you a little bit, and so it's not uncommon for a European promoter to take you to the parents' house for tea. You know, it's quite often like, we're going to take you somewhere nice, and it'll be either a local cafe or someone's family or their house. And I think the independent venues, like the what's the one up in Glasgow that's got the vegan restaurant? Is it Hug and Pint? I don't remember.
That sounds a little bit like the sort of thing which the Exchange, because the Exchange has got a vegan cafe / restaurant sort of thing.
Where's that?
It's in Bristol. Down
by yours.
Yeah.
I'm just texting that friend of mine to find out where that gig was.
That's fair enough.
What would you call it? Brewery? Yeah.
Yeah.
And where's that? I know I'm going to be saying it so many times during this chat. But anyway, yeah. So I think you do get that with your independent venues. You know, I remember no slight on them, but you know, when you play in the O2, any O2, it's more or less kind of like there's your lager, there's your packet of crisps, and there's some guy who's got a bit of an ego like on your case, and I do think it can be quite lonely being on tour because there's so many highs, ups and downs, and walking into a place, I get a real kick out of anyone who's passionate. It's a real, because I'm guilty at times for not being very passionate or being a little bit apathetic. So that on tour, especially with the highs and lows, you walk into a place and someone's got a little bit of gumption, a bit excited that you're there. It gives you a right boost, you know.
Of course, because it's like someone comes up to you and gives you like a massive welcoming hug. It's like that kind of reassurance that you know that you're in a safe space.
Absolutely.
You know that they're going to try and look after you as much as possible.
Yeah, man.
Also, sometimes it could be just such a simple thing like even making a cup of tea or something like that. Especially if they can see that the artist looking like kind of either tired or stressed out.
Well, weirdly, I spoke to a guy called Reese the other day. He did a piece on Parr Street. There's a studio in Liverpool called Parr Street. Really good recording studio that looks like it might be getting.
Is that Reese Buchanan?
Pardon?
Is that what's the surname? Is it Reese? I might know him.
Well, he worked at Rough Trade.
Yep, I know Reese.
I know you do.
I know that Reese. Yeah, I know.
We had a little chat the other day, and he was like, "Oh, we met before at Rough Trade Bristol," and I was like, "And it's, you know, I say I've got a terrible memory, but nice things stick in your mind."
Yeah.
No, I was under the weather at that show, and they made me. They just kept bringing out like lemon honey hot toddies for me.
Yeah.
And it was my anxiety. It was the week I released my last record, Yawn.
So it was the one which I was at. So I think I might have been at that.
You were there.
Yeah.
We had a chat. In fact, you were one. You know, that was actually when I think we properly first.
Yeah.
We've talked, but that was a really quite important conversation for me because I felt, like I say, I was having panic attack after panic attack. The album's come out. I was meant to do. Weirdly, those intimate record store shows are kind of worse because.
Yeah.
And I'd become aware that my drinking was a problem, so I was trying to tone that down. But they were just so lovely. And then it's little things like that stick in your mind. And I remember doing the photo booth there. And yeah, long story short.
Yeah, I remember also you helped calm me down, I think, as well. So
Hey?
I think you helped calm me down a bit that day as well. Just by singing Friendly Faces, but like, yeah, hey, friendly face.
Oh, you can't be shy of Friendly Faces, man. Everyone knows you.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's kind of true. But I mean, but I still get slight anxiety sometimes, and so what I find actually does help me is saying if I had like a friendly, non-patronising face.
Oh well,
I know.
You don't know me well enough then, Jeff, because I'm probably the most patronising person.
Yeah, but I still got a sense of warmth of you. But it's like.
Good. That's good.
You know, that's the thing. Is that when I mean like patronising, I mean like people who are being like kind of mean spirited. So I could take people being sarcastic, and I could take people who's like.
I get you. Do you feel like? I mean, aside from do you feel like you get that a lot? Do you feel patronised quite often? I do personally.
Yeah. I guess sometimes, but then I guess it depends. I'm not always aware of it.
Right. Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it depends on like. I mean, I've noticed it a little bit recently where I've just been feeling a little bit edgy with people coming up to me, "Oh, you're missing the gigs," and then like I've still got live music playing on my phone, sort of thing. And that can be a little bit.
But that surely that's if someone's asking you if you're missing your gigs, that's them just trying to engage really, because I think it can be quite hard because I know because we had that chat with Larissa, you and me had that chat the other week, didn't we? And when I messaged you about that was a concern of mine that it might have just been like, you know, a bit patronate, like, you know.
No, you weren't at all.
If you don't have it's but being patronising, it's one of those things, isn't it? It can be.
But trust me, you definitely were not patronising whatsoever.
No, but you know what I mean about the act of asking if you needed someone to talk to. It can at times be a little like that, but so yeah, it's tricky. So Jeff, are you missing your live gigs?
Yeah, I am. But no, because I think the thing is, though, for me, it's more than just like the actual music. It's the everything which goes around with it. Yeah. So it's like being able to see people, hug people.
Well, that's one thing we talked about. Like that, I spoke to my therapist this morning, and that's the thing that I noticed was how much I'm kind of ready for someone to, you know, And I'm quite standoffish as a person. Obviously, my partner and my best friends and my parents, but like maybe even not a hug, but just to be in the presence of other people sometimes can really put me out of my comfort zone. Sometimes I wish I didn't have to be near people, but right now,
but then sometimes it's
feel it, you know, like that needs that connection that. And
sometimes I think it's good to also like listen to yourself and think about like when you do need the distancing, and then when you do need like kind of interaction with people, and actually listening to when your body's telling you things.
Well, are you quite good at that? Because I'm always the last person to know. It seems when I need, like, you know, like I'll kind of spend too much time inside and wonder why I'm going a bit loopy, and then everyone will go, oh, yeah, you know, you've not been doing X, Y, and Z, and I'll go, oh, it's been months since I've been for a swim, or I'm useless at it. I don't know how you are. Like,
I can be sometimes. I can be, but then all of a sudden I'll see something. I'll go like obviously like with my painting sort of thing. I sometimes I take it out by that way.
Yeah.
Like on the weekend I got like on Saturday I was really quite stressed and anxious. I get actually kind of anxiety in kind of quite hot weather sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially with like some more like bodily anxiety sort of thing. And I was out on a walk, on my daily walk sort of thing. So I always make sure that I try and get out every day.
Yeah.
No matter whatever the weather. Because like apart from like maybe like the odd couple of days here and there, I've pretty much always made sure that I've gone for a good hour long walk sort of thing in the evenings. Partly to clear my head, and then also partly just as a way of like kind of getting out and being present with like kind of also like nature around me, because I've got several really nice parks just around the corner from me, and then but because people sometimes throw stuff out, so if someone threw out a whole load of canvases,
oh shit,
that he'd been spraying on. I mean, like I'll show you one of the paintings that he did,
yes,
which I'm actually probably gonna keep as it is, because it's a really nice painting, which is this.
Hold it up. Sorry, so was this on the canvas as you found it?
Yeah.
Nice. I certainly think you can add to it though.
Yeah, I might do. I'm personally, I'm gonna leave this one because I picked up another 7. Like right, I literally walked past the place and went, hang on, canvases. You know, like so then that gave me the impetus to paint them on Sunday.
Yeah.
I did what I call the sad self-portrait. It's basically I've got it, yeah, it's in the kitchen. Shall I go and get it?
Go on.
Okay. Go grab it.
Only if you want to, though.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I know you, Jeff. You want to show off.
That's very true.
I'll get my guitar out in a minute. Salt Brewery. Skipton.
There we go. There we go. Hopefully you can see this.
It's your sad self-portrait.
Yeah.
Like it.
Yeah,
you got a shave in that picture? Oh, there it is.
Yeah, it's basically, I was originally intending it to be entirely black and white. Then like I put like lots of, but then I put like kind of added colour to it to basically to add more depth.
Get yourself a little green beard there. I like it.
Yeah, it's like green and black and purple.
It's cool, mate. Really.
I guess it's like if you were to take a photograph and you see all the shading sort of thing.
Yeah.
There's no shadings ever one colour. Really. There's no shadings ever one colour.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, you know, I'm a complete dolt when it comes to visual art. I'm impressed that you can even make someone look like a face.
I mean, to be honest, I'm I'm no expert at it either. I just do it.
Yeah, we can get quite far by doing that, as it turns out.
Yeah, I know. Well, I've done I've done about 60 something paintings in the space of about 5 years.
We're gonna have to move house soon.
Yeah, well, actually, half of them are in someone else's house at the moment.
Oh yeah, you said yeah. You had a friend who was helping you with
Yeah,
organise a exhibition, right?
yeah. It's, is it Crosstown Promotions?
No, I'm sorry.
Well, it's my friend Connell who runs Crosstown Promotions. It's like his wife.
He's helping you set it
Yeah.
up.
So I think we're going to do it
Yeah.
online I think, at the moment.
Hey,
I think we do like a virtual exhibition at the moment.
what a great idea! If only someone had suggested that to you 3 weeks ago.
I know exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was thinking it back then, but
they just
it's
come.
the communication side of things.
I think that's a great idea, mate. Really good. And before I forget, that brewery gig was in Skipton,
Oh,
and it was called. Oh God, there's so many. There's so many breweries in Skipton. Is it that one? Saltaire.
oh yeah.
Really good. Yeah, yeah. I've looked at that. I played in front of them, all those.
Oh wow.
But and it kind of
Well, it's a really beautiful building as well.
it was stunning. And you know how I like to diffuse gigs with talking rubbish and making bad jokes. I didn't have to at that gig because there was pipes all around that kept making kind of weird sounds, and every time there was a quiet bit, you'd hear this.
Mm.
People were just laughing, like throughout the whole show. It was really fantastic.
I
Anyway,
guess they would have been laughing because of it, especially if it happened rhythmically perfectly.
and it did, and I think the first time it happened, it was during one of the quieter bits, and I made a joke about it. And then obviously once it's like, don't think of elephants, don't think of pink elephants. It's there. You can't get away from it anymore.
Yeah.
So it was like, I don't know. It wasn't a big show. It was 150, 200 people, something like that.
No, but then the thing is, though, they're sometimes the best. They're the more memorable, and like it's like some of the best shows I've been in haven't been in necessarily in the big rooms, but they've been in the small rooms.
Certainly for me, I feel like I'm way more comfortable.
I think also,
Actually, it's tricky. There's like a what would you call it? A sweet spot,
yeah,
like 200 people. I think it's just enough for me not to feel like embarrassed, and not enough for me to be petrified. That's.
I think you should never feel embarrassed about what you're doing, Bill.
No, but you feel embarrassed if no, you shouldn't, and you're right about that. But you can, because I never felt like I was meant to be on stage. I was always quite quiet, and now, and like I have to resort to like kind of another persona, to get through it. So I'm a lot more bullish and a lot more brackish and a bit more gobshitey. And I play up to this kind of northern kind of drink, and and I hate that, so I do get quite embarrassed.
I think it's easy to do, like, to be honest. It's like it's easy to self-criticize yourself, and it's easy to, like, when you think about it, like, kind of almost like creating a tension within yourself. And that's where a lot of, like, for me, like, a lot of the stuff with, like, self-doubt will come in.
Yeah.
It comes in, like, when you're, like, when you're feeling particularly oppressive about yourself.
It's terrific, isn't it? It's the worst critic you can have. And it's such a shame as well, because I'm sure it's the same with you, with your paintings.
Yeah.
When I can do something on a Thursday night, write some music. Here, this is where I write my music.
Yeah.
And Thursday night be like, I've nailed it. I've done exactly what I wanted to say. And then Friday morning,
you listen to it
again and think, that's a bit sixth form, or that's a bit, that's not what I wanted. And it can be that seesaw. Like creating things is such a gift and such a beautiful thing just to have, but the self-critical analysis of everything you do is you get that imposter syndrome thing, you
I
know?
think that's, I think that's to some extent what has hampered me
Yeah.
to some extent, but especially because also like I've done other things like I used to have like a rap personality who used to do shows, but I'd have to improvise the entire thing.
Really?
So like lyrically, I wouldn't necessarily be able to remember all the words which I'd written, but so I had to like tell, and it would all be very personal life stories that I'd be telling, and but I'd create like a kind of, and I'd have to create like an imaginary world, and
Sounds familiar, Jeff?
then like the other thing which I do, which I've been, so I've also um up until recently I was with well with like kind of a filmmaking group. And so I did like 3 or 4 projects with them where I made short films,
Sick.
I'm so um, self-judgmental that I didn't know actually how to promote them or how to like kind of
Yeah.
kind of put them to people going because I find myself feeling as soon as I see my face or I see like the things which I've drawn being animated, then I tend to find it kind of it's like
Well,
the voice in my head saying, "Oh, this could be better. This could be better," sort of thing.
I think that the key to that is take some money off someone up front
Mm.
or lie to them and tell them you're going to make an album or whatever it is. Get them to give you some money, make it, and then it's not up to you anymore. They just put it out.
Yeah.
I really struggled. Like on my first record wasn't so much of a problem, but the second one where I sang more, the world could have swallowed me up. You know, the thought of that going out into the world kept me awake. You know.
Like I'm not dealing with the pressure with it, sort of thing.
Yeah, well, just delivering yourself because you have to accept that once there's a weird ownership to art, and you can create it in your bedroom in your underpants, which I do quite often. But
Yeah.
once it's out there, the context is all different, and every person somehow now has the right. I mean, people do have the right to criticize and critique anything, but we've got to the point now where it's got very personal. You
Mm.
know, you
Yeah.
can put something out there, and anyone can shoot you down, and there's a lot of people who live for that, and it really, really hurts.
Mm.
I feel I'm certainly less bothered these days because, I feel a bit more grounded. But certainly in the early days, you could,
Mm.
if you posted something and someone slags it off, how is that not going to hurt?
Of course.
But it's part of the risk, and at the same time, I think someone said to me that if you get criticized 10 times, but one person finds joy in it, then that's more than you can expect from from art.
That's
And
very true.
it is just the communication of the absurdity of life and the weirdness and the challenges that we all go through.
I think also the other thing is like learning how to value it as well. I mean, like, so I had like with me, like I post my paintings up onto Facebook and what have you. And then I had a few people like actually wanted to buy them, but I didn't know how to value them. So I was too scared of putting a price tag on them. I
Yeah,
was too scared of like, do I undervalue them
yeah.
by here, have it for like 10, 20 quid, or like, do I overvalue them or?
This is something that I'm very fortunate to have a manager who's very critical of how I valued myself early on, because I was producing albums for nothing, next to nothing, like
Yeah.
quite happy that people wanted me involved, that kind of thing.
Mm.
And it's a real I wouldn't know how to do it. I mean, my daily rate as a producer, I still don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Like, it would be impossible for me to work with an artist knowing that and I say this to everyone I work with, don't talk to me about the money side of it, because I can't even, I don't envy you there, really,
No.
to be honest with you, mate. And I wouldn't know what to say. Just say 200 quid for
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. But it's like
So
Yeah.
how did you do it? How did you?
I don't know, because I haven't really sold any, to be honest.
Oh, right. Okay.
I sold one to Dad from Idols, and
Okay.
that's because of he commissioned me to do it, sort of thing. And he basically, yeah, said that this is what I'll give you for a drawing. I just went,
Well,
okay,
I mean, successful pop stars shouldn't be your starting point because they've probably got more money than everyone else, right?
yeah,
But I think it's whatever you want it to be, really. I think I would always go low with
mm,
what I do. I'd always sooner be the hero who's undersold themselves than.
I also always sense that with you that the projects that you work on are very much like kind of, or the people that you work with are very much people that you have like kind of a bit of a relationship with, maybe in some ways.
I think,
Would I be right in assuming that?
yeah.
Like some sort of friendship with people that you know personally.
Well, no. I mean, I kind of enforce myself on anyone who I find interesting, and I enter their lives and stick to them like a barnacle. So, if, for example,
Like right now.
like right now, yeah, like Brooke Bentham, for example,
Yeah,
I
that's a
didn't know.
great record, by the way.
Ah, brilliant, thank you, nice one. That's one of my proudest moments. But we didn't know each other. See, what happens is managers being managers, they go, let's get them. Someone suggested me to work with Brooke, and then the managers were like talking to each other, and they're like, let's
Yeah,
get the artists together, and they set up this phone call, and Brooke, being the person that she is, was just like, what the fuck's this? What, I don't know what we're doing. Hi, how are you? Kind of, and that made me laugh, and we spent the first conversation that our managers had set up just talking about managers and how pointless this is. But in their infinite wisdom, it turned out, and it turned out well. And as a result, I'd say Brooke is in my top 5 friends. She's so
she's a great songwriter.
she's an unbelievable song. Well, she's half a great songwriter. I'm the other half.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, I think you are right though. I do work with people that I've known for a while, and I think that happened at the start of my career mainly because I was cheap, you know.
And
Uh,
then I guess it's also because of it's working with people that you feel that you can trust as well.
yeah, I mean, I think, Jeff, I just don't have time. Musicians, a dickhead musician is probably about as bad as it gets. Like, I can't be around. I care
Yeah.
so much for music, and I live by it, and it gives me so much that I cannot bear to be around. You know the type, you know.
Yeah.
Despite being one of those people occasionally myself, so I tend to only take on jobs that I couldn't bear not to do. So Brooke, when I heard Brooke's recordings, I was like, "Oh, I'm the perfect guy for this." Like,
Yeah.
I'm absolutely, I'm not. I can't promise you radio with it, but I know how to make a great record with this girl. Whereas our girl, who again I became very, very close with. I'm very fond of them all as individuals and as a band. That was one of them where I was like, this band don't need a producer.
Yeah.
But they just need someone who can kind of make them laugh a bit when they're stressed, and that's all I really did with that record. So it's but yeah, you're right. I hope that I've made a good impression on everyone I've worked with. I'd take one thing that I think is very important to me that I do as a producer is I try and communicate. I try and tell people that it's all right to commit 100% and risk looking like you care too much. I think,
Yeah.
and try and be wary of, try and help people along with some of the lessons I've learned. And as a result, I do get people texting me out of the blue, people I've not worked with for 2 years, saying, "Hey, what do you think of this?" and
Yeah.
get your advice. I mean, I wouldn't take advice from me, but
No, but then the thing is that people obviously value it. Otherwise, people wouldn't be texting you, would they?
well, they wouldn't, and it's quite a hard thing to learn that.
Yeah.
The way we feel about ourselves,
Mm.
is super distorted, isn't it? But yeah, so yeah, I think it's important to me that I only take on jobs that have the right. I don't want to sound too new age, but energy is a real thing for me. You know,
Oh, definitely. I think it's a thing for a lot of people actually.
well, the only reason I bring it up, like it's for me, is that I'm very new to it. I'm all of a sudden aware that people live by this, and so it's become this, you know, this gut instinct has become a real, because I'm the kind of person who overthinks.
Mm,
I have obsessive rumination. I'm medicated for it. My brain tends not to stop.
yeah,
And as a result, I find alcohol
yeah,
and um, and Valium helps a lot, and the medication I'm on. But as I've reduced the amount that I drink and the amount that I take, I think I've become more aware of this need to be around genuinely good people, you know. And
yeah,
I think I've at times in my life been a very selfish and not a very nice person, but I've never meant ill, I've never meant
mm,
harm or anything like that. I've been a dickhead and a child
yeah,
and a user and an abuser, and you know, and I think that I don't know if that's me. I'm late to the party. I'm 37 now, but it's just I've become very aware of when I'm in the presence of someone who I can't be near,
yeah.
and it comes like that now, and I just go, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm going over here, you know.
yep.
Um,
So kind of same with me. So sometimes if there's someone making me feel really awkward,
yeah,
I won't necessarily say it out loud or always react to it, but it'll definitely make me feel a bit weirdly frozen.
yeah, right.
Um,
Is that? Do you feel like that's an instinct that you've got now, where you can just take yourself away? Because I think I've been drawn to people with bad energy for most of my life, you know, or bad energy, you know, people
yeah,
who will kind of treat me a certain way because that's probably what I think I deserve or whatever. And it's a very hard loop to break, you know.
that's a very hard loop to break. I think that some of it also comes from being awestruck with people as well. So if I tend to be like awestruck by someone, like
Right.
I once bumped into John Parrish and PJ Harvey together, and that was like, oh, okay, I could just about cope with John Parrish, but then PJ Harvey next to him was just like,
I did that.
much.
Yeah.
I pretty much it was like in the Colston Hall, and she was there because of Mick Harvey was playing in a tribute gig to David Lynch, and
Well,
so it was like an all-star kind of performance. So like they had Jenny Beth from Savages, Connor from Villagers, and like kind of Stuart Staples from the Tinder Sticks, and
bit of a
like
cat.
when you just think of turn around, like John turned around and oh like this, I was like, oh Jeff, I was like, oh hi Jeff, and it's like I found myself going suddenly freaking out, but like because I was in the seated gig, like suddenly trying to run away, almost tripping over one of the seats and falling into Jenny Beth.
Oh God. Yeah, I can relate to that.
But also, I was going to bring up actually John Parrish's name because of I feel that some of your production style is quite similar to his.
Oh, I'll take that.
In the way that he like in the way that he brings out melody, a lot of stuff that they work.
That's really sweet. You'll have to suggest us. I'm not overly familiar, so you'll have to suggest
Oh, he's
some
done
little
loads of
dogs
great.
for us, you know.
He's done loads of stuff. Loves all the PJ Harvey records he's worked on, and
Well,
he's done like,
in truth, that's the only reason I know his name.
well, he's worked with like Yo Tango, This is the Kid. He's done
Is he still active? The producer.
yeah. He produced their last album. Aldous Harding, both her albums are produced by other
Oh, the
people.
oldest harder.
Yeah, and then also he did what else has he done that I can think of? He's done some really amazing film soundtrack work, which is really beautiful.
Okay.
That he released on Thrill Jockey Records. What else? I mean, he's done loads. He's pretty much like kind of he's produced everyone from like
I
pretty
mean
much
that.
anyone that he really likes. He's basically ended up worked with for the
Right.
past years. So Howie
The dream.
Gow, Giant Sand. Um, he's pretty much, I get the sense that he's like one of those really kind of easygoing people that can basically just get along with anybody. And he's like, yeah, and that's the thing is that he's not at all show-offy at all. He's like really, really, really meek and mild.
I like him. I think I'll get in touch. I just wanted to ask you, which I'm sure you've already touched upon on your blog, but some of the venues that have been particularly important to you. I'd like to know.
Well, definitely the Louisiana has been a massive, massive, massive part of me. Because of like, I think it was like that was definitely one of the venues where I first really started making friends. Like, it's been people that I'd stay in touch with.
Great venue, good owners too.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, great owners. It's like a family-run place as well. So I found myself, especially like.
What's the family name?
Scalacci.
It's Scalacci, isn't it? That's right. Because there was a rumor that it was the famous footballer Scalacci's brother.
It is.
It is. That's unbelievable. That.
Yeah, that is. Yeah.
See, I was told that when I was about 16 and believed it at 16 because we played there. I think we played there in 2000. The first time we were down in Bristol, and we never did very well in Bristol because I think at the time it was coming off the back of a big Portishead.
Yeah.
You know, like trip up thing, massive attack and all. And I was like, I believed it. And then someone said, you know, that's a lie. So I've been telling people for 10 years, oh, that's not true, but it's actually true.
I think it is true. Well, ask Gianni. Ask Meg from the Louis.
I don't need to. I believe you. I just think that's fantastic.
I think it is true. I think he is related to the. He's definitely related to them. Like maybe like half brother or something like that. But he's definitely related. He's definitely part of the Scalacci tribe.
The Scalacci clan.
Yeah.
Go on then. Other than Louisiana,
I'd say.
Got any outside of Bristol?
Outside of Bristol, obviously, like the thing is, I didn't really travel much outside of Bristol up until a couple of years ago. So it took me a long time to like really build up the confidence to go to gigs in other cities. So I'd say like probably like Mole's Club in Bath.
Oh yeah, I know that place.
That's pretty good. I used to really like that place.
Really? I mean, you're a tall guy. What are you, 6?
I'm 6'3.5".
That's got to be only 6 foot ceilings in Moles, right?
It's a bit higher than that.
Is it? We mixed one of our albums in a mixed room just opposite Moles. Yeah, I had to break out of there one night. They locked us in, and I had a panic attack.
Oh, God, I can imagine, especially if you get locked in.
Honestly, I was living in Cambridge at the time. The Coral had just made Invisible Invasion. They were mixing it there with Jeff Barrow, Adrian Utley, and Craig Silvey. Absolute dynamite team. 3 genius men.
Also 3 complete contradictions at the same time.
Yeah, and then you add in 3 members of the Coral, and it was just. And I remember getting the train there from Oxford. That's where I was living at the time. And then, just, you know how they come, these panic attacks. And I remember, like, having to, like, open a window and jump out and then get a taxi to Oxford.
Wow.
I do remember Mole's Club being particularly low-ceilinged and quite...
Actually, the first time I went to Mole's Club, I did nearly knock myself out accidentally. It was,
well, I've seen your moves, Jeff.
Yeah, but it was like when I was 15 years old. We went to see with my dad. My dad obviously had sometimes take me to shows when I was like a teenager. My mum and dad did something. So we went to see Symposium.
Symposium, yeah, I remember them.
Yeah.
Were they any good? I remember them not being very good. But
I used to love them.
I think I was probably the same age as them. It's hard when you...
Well, I think I was probably them as well, to be honest with you. So I think it's partly the energy. Well, I'm 30. I'm 37 now, but I'm going to be 38 in September.
In September? I'm 36. Yeah. You've got 1 year on me.
Yeah. So it was roughly that age range sort of thing.
Right.
I used to really like. I think what it was for me is that they had 1 or 2 catchy songs, but then it was the on-stage energy.
You love a bit of that, don't you?
Yeah, I do, to be honest with you.
I like my singers to be annoyed that they have to go and play live. That's what I like. I like them to be like, I'm better than this. I saw Bill Callahan in. Have you ever been up to not Gorilla, Deaf Institute in Manchester?
No, I've very rarely been to Manchester. Literally,
Oh,
like,
Jeff, what you on about?
I need to get up more north more.
You do, and I won't be the only person to say this. I know there's a lot of people, but and I think, you know, anytime you want to jump on our bus and come up to see North, I love showing people the North. But Deaf Institutes are great. It used to actually be, I believe, I might be wrong in saying this. I do have a habit of making things up. I think it was an institute for the deaf.
Yeah.
Um, and it's a crack. And I saw Bill Callahan there. In
Oh,
fact,
he's great.
the contempt he showed us. It was like we stank, and I was so enthralled. He was just so cool. And I saw the best gig I've ever been to in my whole life was there, and that was Johnny Flynn. Do you remember Johnny Flynn?
Yeah, I remember Johnny.
With support from Anna Calvi.
Oh, fucking hell, I can't be supporting.
Anna Calvi support on her own. I think no, she wasn't on her own. It was her and Mally.
Yeah.
And I remember me and my girlfriend at the time, we'd gone to see Johnny Flynn because I mean I love Johnny Flynn's music. I think he's just next level. You know, I think I'm just a very watered down version of what he does. But to have Hannah play before, it was, you know, it was just when I'd made my first record, and I told Domino about it, and they, you know, and all that. But so yeah, I think that's a great venue. But there's quite a few, you know, there's quite a few up in Manchester. Gorilla's really good. I really like Gorilla. Go on anyway, but this was my
I
question.
think also, based on like outside, like obviously on the tour, I really enjoyed the Brixton Windmill.
Oh yeah, I've been there.
That's a great little place.
It is. It's the kind of place you only end up at if you've had a bit of a heavy night.
Yeah, but I really liked. What I really liked about it was the fact that I saw Anna Calvi play there, which was like really freaking amazing.
Really?
Oh yeah, that was genuinely literally millimeters away from my face, sort of thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's what you're in it for, isn't it?
But then what I really loved about it was the fact that, you know, you walk down like a very ordinary suburban street, and you go in there, it's like kind of walking into Narnia. It's like full of like the brightly coloured paintings everywhere. There's so much like the colour and warmth to the place.
Like the 70s?
Yeah.
It's gross, but yeah, I love it. Yeah.
No,
have you been up to Liverpool much? I bet you haven't then, have you?
No, I haven't. Not really. I need to. That's what I mean. I need to do more travelling, but then.
Well, you should, but I mean, sadly, Liverpool is suffering from a personality disorder, where the council just seem obsessed with closing down anything that could remotely resemble a musical hub. You know?
Really?
Yeah, I mean, the Casimir in Liverpool was.
I actually was there once, actually. I've got a very funny story about me being there once.
Go on, I'll have that.
Okay, well, there was a band called We Yes You Know, who like a London indie rock outfit that I was supposedly technically managing. I used the word technically, I wasn't really managing them at all. But I jumped on the road with them, and so we did like Manchester, I can't remember where they played. They played the Casimir with 28 costumes.
Okay.
Yeah, those guys, who a band I really used to really like. And I used to have a habit of getting up on stage and stripping to my underpants.
And what?
And stripping to my underpants.
Cool. That will have gone well at the Casimir, though. It was a bonkers place.
Yeah. I know, I nearly got kicked out of that for stripping. And all the habits come down.
You must have been a bit too edgy for him.
Probably.
But that place was great, though. I mean, like, the setup of the place, the people who ran a vegan cafe called The Egg, not The Egg, it wasn't called The Egg, what was it called? They ran a vegan cafe in Liverpool for years, and that got closed down and turned into a pub, into a gin place, and then Kaz got closed down. There was a place we used to play called the Zanzibar, and that was it when I was 16. So I left school at 16, and then James, who was the singer in the choral, is 3 years older than me.
Yeah.
So 19, and he'd started going to Liverpool because we're not from Liverpool. It's like a half an hour train.
So you like
And
they were like the werewolves sort of thing.
yeah, they were. Yeah, it terrified me, the thought of going to Liverpool. You know, I was quite a sheltered child, and then we went to this place, and it was the only place in town we could smoke weed. They'd serve us. We were all underage. They'd serve us. Run by an absolute sweetheart of a guy called Tony, who sadly passed away a couple of years ago, and he fought. The council were trying to close him down so often, and he fought tooth and nail to keep it going. And he just always had these, he always had whatever the kids were into. So like for the last 10 years, it was just a goth place,
Yeah.
16-year-old angst kids, like, and you wouldn't go near it. But those places, now I think about it, because gigs have become such a trigger and a stress for me. I forget about how much those places can mean to people,
Also, the other thing which is probably one of the other people which I'm going to try and speak to is Terry Hooley.
Say that again?
It's a guy called Terry Hooley.
Yeah.
He won Good Vibrations Records.
Okay. I've heard of them.
Which was well, basically he was like really influential in like the Northern Irish punk scene.
All right.
Punk scene, because basically he ran a record shop on the street which they named Bum Alley. Especially during the trebles.
Yeah, I know it.
And so and he's so he kind of like, but his record shop kind of formed like a safety hub for a lot of like the alternative kids.
Right. Yeah.
And he ended up putting out. So he then ended up forming Good Vibrations, like the record label, and he ended up putting out like the Undertones, Teenage Kicks, and like kind of all these sort of things.
Yeah.
And then like about how like it's about how these spaces do form hubs.
It's just so important, and I feel a bit guilty, to be honest with you, because that's very, like, I don't mean to cause offence to anyone, but I try not to use SJM, the promoters, because I think I have bad experiences with them as people, but also, I just find it a little bit money grabbing, and so I'm at the stage in my career where we're still using local promoters, and they're choosing the venues, and I love that. I'm not always, sadly, I'm not always in the most conversational mode when I do shows.
Yeah.
And I sometimes feel a little bit embarrassed, but
I can understand that.
You mentioned Ireland there, and just looking back, like, God, I'm gonna have to check my phone again. I'm gonna have to check some of my tour dates.
I saw like there was a film made about him called Good Vibrations, which is it's amazing. It's like you watch it, it's just like how the fuck did he manage to survive? Like all the troubles which are happening. Like his shop like nearly got blown up like 3 or 4 times. He got like the amount of times that he nearly got arrested.
Where will I find that?
I think you probably find it on like most streaming sites, sort of things. So it's a national release.
Yeah, just sorry to cut across you there. I'm just looking at some of these venues. Margate Tom Thumb Theatre. If you ever fancy a shout down there, wow, that is an amazing venue.
I can imagine, actually.
It's so beautiful. It holds maybe 50, 60 people. And it's a genuine theatre with a pub upstairs. I mean, right on the sea. Amazing.
That's lovely.
Upper Chapel at Sheffield was nice, really good. I've lost it again.
So I'd say the one I really want to go and visit is there's one in I think it's in Halifax, where it's like an old electrical shop, which they've turned into like a gig venue, which is literally, I think the maximum capacity is 18.
18?
Yeah.
I'd love that, mate. Fucking love it. Let me have a little look. I'm just trying to get some of my tour dates up so I can remind myself. Because I've got great memories, but I never really kind of, oh, here we go. Chapel Arts Centre in Bath. I remember enjoying that.
That's a good venue.
What's that one? Oh, I played, you know what we played a great one in Edinburgh. Was it Edinburgh? It was Edinburgh. That used to be an old You know, Edinburgh was kind of ahead of its time in terms of, I don't know what the word for it is. You know, when people like cut up bodies, post-mortems and all that,
Yeah.
and they had all the grave robbins. Well, we played in this theatre that was an actual operating theatre.
Oh, fucking hell.
And it was kind of creepy, but it was great, you know. I love
That
it.
could have been quite creepy.
I
I think I
mean,
remember
Edinburgh's a creepy city anyway, you know.
I think I remember seeing one time seeing Rich Dawson playing in Redcliffe Caves.
Really?
Which like so in Bristol there's a whole load of smugglers caves.
Yeah.
Like right in the centre.
Makes sense.
Which like interlinks like all the pubs along there. Because they all used to be involved in the smuggling trade.
That's amazing.
And
I love that stuff.
It was Richard Dawson playing solo. Just like him solo acoustic, no amplification because of like let's face it echoes like fucking there anyway.
Yeah, it must be a nightmare for anyone trying to sound that, yeah.
So but they had they literally lit the place by candles.
Beautiful.
And it was really amazing. It was him and a woman called Mette Rasmussen. She was like a Norwegian saxophone player. Like experimental kind of jazz stuff supporting him.
Nice one. We got like there's things in Liverpool called Williamson's tunnels. Williamson, he had them built to give people work during the famine, I think it was. And I saw By the Sea playing there once.
Wow.
And it was, and they just, you know, I think like those local independent promoters, like I'm thinking about Tom from Harvest Sun promoters in Liverpool. You think about the work these people put in and how they want gigs to be more than just carling and loads of people in the room. And they want them to be, you know, and they think about some of the places that we've played over the year and the hoops people have to jump through to get us on.
That reminds me of another really special show I saw, which was there was this disabled American fiddle player called Galen Lee.
Right.
And obviously because of her disability, that meant that she had to play in a venue which had like ground floor accessible toilets.
Yeah.
And that was really amazing because she played in a place called the Elephant House, which is like a community, like a centre, disability space, just like kind of near Friendly Records. Well, 5-minute warning.
Yeah, I know where that is. Yeah.
And yeah, it was really beautiful.
That's got to be hard for the independent venues because they're not purpose built.
Right.
So it must be quite hard for people with disabilities to get to some of those.
Yeah.
Some of those. Really although having said that, most of them are just like ground floor. I mean, I wouldn't know. I'm not disabled.
I think it depends on like also like the toilet facilities. If the toilet's upstairs sometimes, and that can be really difficult.
You don't need to tell me. I mean, not to make light of a serious issue, but it's known in my band. I'm an avid toilet goer before gigs.
Yeah.
If it's not coming out of this end, it's coming out of the other end. We'll say nothing about
like nerves and stuff like that.
Yeah, but we're at the edge. We're at that point where it's like, will we get our own toilet? No one knows. Yeah. So the amount of times I've kind of like been in the toilet before a show with like people talking about me.
Yeah.
And I'm there like, and then walk out and someone goes, "All right, Bill."
Yeah.
And you, oh Christ! Don't walk,
don't
walk in there. Don't walk in there, man. I'm like, yeah.
But also, what made that show really special with Galen Lee, who's just really beautiful. She's done like kind of like fiddle player / singer-songwriter, and she's done like a lot of stuff with like Alan Sparhawk from Low, for instance, and I think he produced her record actually.
Wow.
But man, her stuff is really beautiful.
Just say it again. I'll put it in my phone from the big Low.
It's quite. I might have to like send you over like kind of Twitter or something like that.
Get the spelling right.
She basically well, there's a guy in Bristol has developed a thing called ultrasound, which is like it's like an electronic device which helps, you know, disabled people to be able to play music. Cause it's like kind of it acts like a laser beam.
What?
So it's like a laser beam which, like, if you went up and down the beam, you can play different scales and change, like.
Oh, right, yeah. Like a
So
theremin thing almost.
yeah, kind of. But it's
That's
like it's just been like the infrared beam has a like kind of certain distance.
it show, yeah, right, yeah, I'm with you.
And one of the things which they had, so they'd set up this console um with which they'd also got a few artists to upload songs like from performances from like This Is the Kit and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That the guy known quite well. They got Galen Lee to upload one of her songs. Because I turned up to the gig early, because I'm obviously not knowing really the venue or the layout.
Mm.
I got them. They got to see Galen Lee duetting with herself,
Amazing.
and it was pretty. It was like I was like stood behind her, just like literally kind of like almost trod the clown, because of like she was because of her disabilities. Like she's permanently wheelchair bound,
Right.
and because of like the shape of her body, she has to play like the Irish fiddle, like it's a cello.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Turntable like this sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
She has like a loop station also on like one arm on one arm of her wheelchairs,
Wow.
or the wheelchair sort of thing. And so she'll be looping and stuff like that. Yeah, literally watching her duet with herself. Then spend like
That's great.
40 minutes chatting to her. And she's possibly one of the most enthusiastic people I've met in a long time.
Really? That's
Yeah.
so sweet, man.
Oh yeah, no, she's like if I'm going to live this life, then I'm going to make the best of it of what I can.
And I guess that's something we could all I mean, like, I think, yeah. Well, you know, when I mentioned before about being embarrassed, I think that's part of it, because I think, I don't know about yourself, but me being, you know, white middle class,
Yeah,
you know, and a careerist moaner,
yeah,
you know, someone who's basically, you know, I don't have a lot of money by any stretch, but it kind of like talking about my issues is the thing that pays my rent and things. And I know I'm such a misery. Sometimes I just think, God, I need to slap around the face and, you know, and get on with it. But it's such a tricky road to get. Well, you know, I don't know about you, but like people of our generation, our parents were still quite stiff upper lip. You know, like pull your trousers up, get on with it. And mine certainly were hugely loving, but very much, you know, you get on and you know, and I think it's yeah, I could be more aware of that. I think yeah, probably all could. But it's a very self-indulgent thing, isn't it? Making music, you know, you can only really speak for yourself, and if it's going to be any good, you can only really sing about what you know.
So, what's honest, it's like that's the difference between good and bad art. If it makes you feel something.
Yeah, it's right, isn't it? Yeah, and I think one thing that struck me about when we last spoke was how freely you spoke about how much a hug can mean to you, you know.
Yeah.
And you don't hear that from men very often. And my friends are quite liberal and not macho by any stretch, but that's not something you hear a lot. And it was nice, you know. It was nice to be like, yeah, God, I need that, you know.
I guess the thing is, though, it's because I think it's difficult for a lot of men to admit to.
Yeah.
Even people who aren't particularly macho men, sort of thing. Like actually.
Yeah.
Like I think it's actually difficult. Like I think it took me probably quite a while to admit to, but then when I went, hey, look, I'm just a massive softie.
You big softie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
You know, and I think that actually actually there can be so much which like a stress relief sort of thing.
Yeah, no, I totally get it, and totally get the need for it, you know.
And sometimes music is that for me as well. Music is like the sonic equivalent of a hug.
Right.
Like I'll listen to certain bands because I know that it'll give me.
Yeah.
Like it may not necessarily be to everyone's like kind of like best supposedly quality sort of thing.
Yeah.
but because it's got some sort of charm to it, or like whether it's like classical music, whether it's like um, some like kind of pop punky kind of stuff, or whether it's like kind of I don't know quite cloud put it into words, but the sort of thing like kind of downer pop sort of stuff.
Well, that's why music is such a strange thing, because we're so encapsulated by its magic.
Mm.
We have this desire to talk about it, and it kind of exists on the other plane of talking about it. You want to talk about it, but you never will do it justice. It
Yeah,
is its own conversation, isn't it? And it's I feel that we've kind of lost that. Certainly, when I was at school, I didn't find there was much education in terms of what music can actually be. You know, no
yeah.
one ever said you can do. You know, you can do this. Like, music is
Mm.
not for the privileged. It's not for X, Y, and Z. You know, and I think that bleeds into the understanding of music. I think we've got a bit of a
Yeah.
vortex, got this kind of post-Oasis vortex happening where, you know, this dangerous kind of
Well,
lad.
it falls into like certain like it's got to be categorized and
Yeah,
stuff like that. Whereas
and you
sometimes
can't.
I find myself, I mean, like, it's also what I find really interesting is seeing how music also affects environments.
Right.
So, like, for instance, like, so if you're going to see a film, quite often you know the environment of the film because, like, you'll hear certain sounds or you'll hear, like, all like melodies or something like that, or like, sometimes you'll be able to hear, and it's like how different sounds, especially with me, it changes my mood.
Oh yeah, totally. I think I'm only just discovering. I think because I turn off most films before they're halfway through.
Mm,
Inevitably, the ones that I watch all the way through have a good soundtrack. You know,
yeah.
I think
Well, they've got to have something which carries it with it, doesn't it?
hey,
It's got to have something which carries, the film with it. Carries.
well, I think it's okay to know what it is that turns your taps on.
Mm,
I'm not, like I said to you, I'm not a visual person. I don't, I can see beauty in things,
yeah,
but but nothing I see can touch me in the way that um, yeah, Elgar's cello concerto. Like
mm,
me and my partner watched a film called Hilary and Jackie the other week,
yeah,
and it's about Jacqueline Dupre and she a very famous cellist, showing you,
yeah,
um, who was phenomenal player and really kind of ahead of her time, and in a world full of institutionalized kind of white dudes playing like this, and she giving it all this beans,
yeah,
and the film itself bored me after about 10 minutes, but the music was Elgar all the way through, and I think it's fine to. And I struggled with that because my old band were like big film heads, and if you haven't seen this film, you missed out on a lot of conversation. But
yeah.
it's totally cool just to be like, oh, you know what, not that doesn't do it for me. What does it for me is frequency, and I like to feel
Yeah.
a rumble in my ever expanding gut.
I think I've definitely got one of those. Mine's could definitely. I'm not going to be so much big Jeff, more like XL Jeff.
Yeah, but you've got the height, mate. I'm just a short ass with a big bottom.
Well, you got something going for you. Spinal
What?
tap points.
Big ass. It's tricky, man. Like in my profession, every photo is taken from underneath. It's
Yeah,
horrific. You come off tour, you start to you like 2 weeks before tour, you're like, right, get healthy for tour because everyone's gonna be taking photos.
mm.
Uh, and then halfway through tour, you've been drinking and eating crap through, and you just, and
Yeah, of course.
then you like go on Instagram one night and someone's like, amazing gig, and it's just a photo of you like,
Yeah,
and all of a sudden
trying to hold your stomach in something.
it's right, and all of a sudden all those songs that you cared so much about that gave you life, like some of the songs I've written have kept me going.
Mm.
Like when I've needed to, because I have a dissociative disorder. So sometimes I find it hard to relate to myself in the
Yeah,
moment, and my music is a really good way of I can always feel the music. I can always go back and listen to my albums and go, that's me, undeniably. I remember saying that. I can emotionally connect to that through the music. And but that all goes out of the window when someone takes a bad photo of you, because the narcissism.
Of course, it's like you're so judgmental of your own image as well. It's like I find that I'm pretty much in a weird way the same sort of thing.
I mean, who isn't, man?
Yeah.
Like, you saw, you know, I mean, my partner is like just insanely beautiful, and she's exactly the same, and it's totally all right to feel like that.
Yeah.
You know, and it's all right for your friends to say, "Oh, that's ridiculous. You're beautiful," and it's all right for you to not believe them. It's just feel like there's too much pressure on everyone, just across the board, and now more so than ever. I feel like people are aware of that. You know,
sorry for cutting you off in your flow.
Hey?
I'll tell you one ridiculous thing I've got to do at some point. It's to like once all the lockdown stuff finishes and I get back into working with the filmmaking lot again, I've got to somehow write, record, and make my own like animated musical.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's no small feat.
Yeah, it's going to be like a 20-minute short little film, but I did all the soundtracks for my other films, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like I had hands in them, sort of thing.
You can do this, huh?
But yeah, basically, like, I'm technically going to be having to, I'm going to have to technically be recording myself singing.
Oh shit, that is horrible. Oh god.
Actually have already done that already for one of my films before.
I'm sure, but it doesn't help at all. Like, that is the god. Yeah. Well, I don't envy you there. I mean, if you want a tip, just talk in tune.
Yeah, that's I think that because obviously like but with all my films, they've all told like kind of different parts of my personal lives, sort of thing. So like the first one was like me improv rapping / beat poetry, kind of like just about a whole load of things and just throwing things together.
That sounds psychotic.
Yeah, it kind of is actually.
But I'm interested.
And then the second film I did was about I decided to write a song to my long lost kind of uncle Andrew, who I haven't seen in about 20 years.
Yeah, I'm listening. I just want to close this, please.
And then
sorry. Just rewind. This one about your long lost uncle, was that a rap as well, Jeff?
No, it's actually like we decided to write a like 60s style kind of garage pop.
Oh, okay. All right, okay.
Which I ended up singing like accidentally like Morrissey.
Okay. Well, I mean,
almost not quite like that. Actually, I had to do all the harmonies as well. Cause like I actually ended up doing 3-part harmonies actually.
Okay. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Nice work.
And then
sounds like a chore.
Yeah. And the last one was about which we got like cellists to do like a classical kind of composition for, like semi-classical sort of composition bits. It was about me when I went to hospital and about going in a coma and that sort of thing.
Are these available to hear, or have they been consigned to your vaults?
Yeah, I'll find them and I'll try. If I can find them, then I'll throw them your way. See what you think.
I thought that put them online. Maybe people pay for them.
On Vimeo somewhere. As I said, if I can find them.
Oh. Okay.
If I can find them.
You know full well you can find them. It's whether you decide to send them on.
Oh, well, I'll definitely send them on to you anyway. If you want to hear them, if you want to watch them, sort of thing.
Yeah, well, I would be interested. Yeah.
Also, the guy who I've been one of the guys I've been working with, a guy called Joff Winterhart, who's a really amazing graphic novelist, and he had his first novel turned into a motion picture, which is being released in June, actually. Really? Yeah, called Days of Bagnalled Summer.
Days of?
Bagnalled Summer.
Okay.
and it's very like I'd say that his writing style is like somewhere in between Ghost World and Alan Bennett. His
Okay.
English sense of humour,
Yeah, yeah.
and he had Bell and Sebastian did the soundtrack for him.
Wow.
Yeah, because the soundtrack album's been out for like pretty much a year, sort of thing, and it features like them doing
But,
re-recordings and recordings of like of various Bell and Sebastian songs, and it's
but
directed
they
by
put the soundtrack out first.
yeah.
Why?
I think it's whether they were struggling with finding film distribution.
To drum up a bit of support, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing that Bell and Sebastian would commit to something before it's been.
Well, I think
Get the
they're,
impression
I
that
think
he
they're friends with
delivered.
him anyway. So I think that they're somewhere along the pipeline where they've definitely met each other.
It's annoying, man. All my friends work in fucking factories. None of them are filmmakers. Seems to be the way you get into film, into writing music for films. You know, Clint Mansell and.
But
Uh,
you should definitely give it a go. I think.
well, I've done it. I've actually scored. I've scored a couple of films. It's what I started. The reason we made my first album was not to release properly. It was just to send to production houses to try and get me some work in that. Because I didn't want to sing. I didn't want to write music, and I made a soundtrack to a film called Piggy by a guy called Kieran Hawkes, who's an absolute gem of a guy and went on to become incredibly successful. And it starred a lot of really. Martin Compston was in it. Your man from Peaky Blinders, Paul Thompson. So I'm terrible at names.
Yeah.
But it just never took on. I just assumed that I wasn't kind of good enough or whatever. And it just I would love to do more of that. But
Sometimes it's just down to luck, and it's like down to like.
That's what I tell myself, Jeff.
I think it is true. So I think that I think that's also something which John Parrish said because he gave a speech at the Watershed about doing film soundtracks. So I think that some of it was just down to being in the right time, right place.
I mean, that's certainly true of most things in life, isn't it? But when you put yourself in the right place at the right time, as often as I have, and not got work from it, you start to question.
But then it's like I could probably say the same about myself. But then, it's not saying like not always knowing how to take advantage of the things.
Yeah, and again, that's why I come back to management. That's why I talk to all my artists that I work with about the importance of a good manager, because if you're interested in art, probably the last thing you're interested in is managing fucking anything.
Yeah.
Like I can't manage. Half seven, I've still not eaten.
Oh, freaking hell.
You know, I can't manage anything.
Yeah.
So they're dead important.
To eat, definitely need to eat.
I'm gonna eat in a minute. I mean, I had a packet of squares, salt and vinegar, a big pack.
That's not exactly eating, though, is it?
No, it isn't. But I've got.
Like, come on, you need to definitely get like. That's the things I think is that I sometimes struggle when it comes to looking after myself is the old eating sort of thing.
Really.
And then I found also that my parents have said that the best way to make yourself feel better is to cook yourself a good meal. And it can be like really easy.
No, it's right, and I just think some days you just don't have it in you, you know.
Of course, I think it's good to accept having those days.
Yeah, well, I stopped giving myself a hard time for things I can't control. I mean, like I know it's not healthy to get to 7 o'clock and just have a pack of crisps, and it's super rare because I mean I love food and I eat too much, like of the white breads and the pastas. But some days, you just my dad's very similar. He said to me like, if I have a big meal the night before, I'm like kind of not hungry until the next evening, and I think that. If that's where you are, then that's all right,
That's me. I'm not having a go at you at all, really, because I'm not exactly one to speak either.
You struggle with it a little bit.
A little bit. I think it is like that whole thing of like it is that thing of understanding self-love, really, isn't it? I think it's what it comes down to. And then but also with that self love, being able to understand that you're going to have on days and off days.
Yeah, and it's so lovely to hear you talk like that, because it's, how do you do it on your own? When I'm with someone, then it becomes a communal thing, cooking and eating together. It's quite fun. But on my own, I just don't seem to find the time to really. It's about giving yourself time, isn't it? And
Yeah.
everyone with the best intention will say that to you, and it's such a hard thing to navigate and to master. Because it's kind of personally, I've spent since I was 16. My self-worth has pretty much been wrapped up in music.
Yeah.
Whether with the choral, it was what I could add to James's songs. Now it's my song. So if I write a great song, or I consider it a great song, then that is food and alcohol and spends for a few weeks. That's the high that I don't really need much else. And then on the flip side, if you're not eating anything, you feel like, oh, I've got to work on this. Like, for example, when lockdown started, I was meant to be making an album.
Yeah.
Writing an album, not making an album. And then I got, and no one meant any harm by it, but I got some texts from the label and my management saying, oh, isn't this terrible? But hey, I guess at least you'll have time to write, because apparently all I do is moan about not having time to write. I do have to play 4 hours on PlayStation every But everyone was like, and then all of a sudden this pressure came on me, like, shit, yeah, of course. I've got no excuses, The pubs aren't open.
Yeah.
So, like, there's nothing else that I can't. 3 things I like: playing football, going to the pub, and writing music. And I can only do one of them right now. And it stressed me for about 3 weeks. I just couldn't write a note.
Yeah.
And again, like, luckily my partner has a similar outlook to you, and was pushing this, like, well, you've got to be kind to yourself and know that you're more than just someone who turns out music, who puts music out there and kind of embarrasses themselves for the sake of.
But you're so much more than that. You're so much more.
And it's not. I'm not saying this so I can get a pat on the back, but it's just. I think it's a very common thing that people have, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so true. I think it is. Yeah, I wouldn't quite know how to phrase it myself, really.
Well, that's it.
Other than that. But I mean, like,
it's a fucker.
I'd say one thing, it makes me feel proud to actually be friends with people who can go and do, like, kind of, I guess, cool and interesting things, like you picking up records and that sort of thing. And I think that is something I've never done myself, so I think that has been something that I've yet to obtain. Or, like, obviously my friend Joff, who's had this, like, the graphic novel turned into a film, or yeah, I don't know how to put it into words, really.
No, I get what you're saying, and I think when people who don't make a career out of making music or whatever and aspire to it, see it as this wonderful thing, and it's very easy to forget, and it is a wonderful thing. It's super easy for people like yourself to forget how privileged you are to have been in the right place at the right time and stuff like that. But I do think the older you get, it's more about, people like I meet people like yourself all over the place, people with challenges and issues. People contact me quite often on social media, people who I consider our, people who don't, are we frozen? Or are you just being dead still? Oh, there you go.
Just dead still. I'm listening. Sorry.
And I think that's what I look for more now in people that I want to speak to and be around, is people that I won't have to explain myself to, why I can't do this, why, like, I've got I've got quite a few wonderful friends, and I've got Anthony, my oldest friend, and then Liam, who's one of my other best friends. But Liam has similar issues to me. Some days can't get out of bed, some days can't go to the shops. And being around those people is such a gift. and you just, it's impossible for other people who haven't struggled with those issues to really comprehend them, you know. And I think for me, being friends with people like that, is those people don't want anything other than friendship.
It gives you a grounding as well.
It does, yeah. Well, feeling alone is the worst.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing, you know. And I really sympathise with you at this time because, I mean, for me, I'm quite, you know, the challenge of being in all the time, that hasn't really bothered me a great deal because I'm not overly social. I don't really go to gigs in my own time.
Yeah.
For people like yourself, where it's it's so intrinsically linked to your mental well-being.
Yeah, I think it has been, but then,
Feel for you, you know.
but also I think I think that actually that I've dealt with it a lot better than I would have expected to deal with it. To be honest with you, I think part of that's been partly because of having creative outlets, partly because of also being able to have video calls and stuff like that, seeing people's faces, and to be honest, I've also been actually quite a sheltered person myself. So I didn't really grow up around a huge amount of people. So like I've always been on my own. So it's like even when I've been going out to gigs and festivals, I've been doing things on my own.
Yeah.
So
but there's a difference between being okay on your own,
yeah,
and then that being your only option.
Yeah.
So I love, like, part of the problem I had when I got when my agoraphobia started was I always wanted to be on my own, but I wanted to do things, you know.
Yeah.
I'd go for mile walks with CD player, Bob Marley, Pink Floyd, you know, smoke a bit of weed, and that was the hardest thing. Like, was being on my own, as opposed to being on my own, you know, with the freedom. And I think I'm speaking to some of my friends who I consider slightly more normal or regulated than myself, and the struggles they're having with just not being able to go out, and you just go, Christ Almighty, huh?
So I guess that part of it's because of they've got so settled into their routine that the thing is, so with kind of me, it's not been so much the big things hasn't phased me so much, but it's more the little things.
Really?
I think actually the thing that, I mean, I guess I've been really lucky. So when I've had really ultra supportive, kind of caring, like parents who did shelter me to a certain extent. So they knew that I had difficulties. They knew that even though I had no official diagnosis of anything apart from my learning difficulties, they just kind of knew because of my behaviours were different to other kids at the time.
Yeah.
And
so
they just like they basically over my life have basically just like been there supportive and facilitated me in whatever I wanted to do, really.
And my parents very much the same, just wonderful, loving people, and aren't we lucky, you know?
Yeah, it's true.
Because you know, you see it. I know people who don't have that and don't have a friendship group, you know, like that's isolation on another level, you know. Being stuck at home is one thing, but not having people who you feel
the only one to talk to.
Yeah, and be excited about things with, and the joy of saying to someone, I've heard this record and you're gonna love it, man, and then listening to it and coming back, that back and forth. There's no reason why that has to end, you know. But it's just, you just realise people have, when it gets like this, you realise people have other commitments. You know, I've not really, you know, people with kids. You know, obviously they're not going to be in touch as much because they have.
Of course, they've got their own lives going on.
It's kind of frustrating that people have forgotten that I'm the most important thing in their life. And I'm popping around with bundles of food and drink and.
Yeah, but they're also really appreciative, I think. So I think they're appreciative for all the support and for, you know,
Yeah.
the fact that having someone who's thinking about them, sort of thing.
Well, it's weird, isn't it? It doesn't take a lot to reach out. I think gives you a bit of confidence. Obviously, this country is in an absolute state.
Yeah.
We're being run by people who don't care about people like you and me
Yep.
at all, and would quite happily do without us if we didn't make them so much money.
Yeah.
So it's really important that you do have these communities, and as you said before, you know, seeing, you know, the people who work at these independent venues, and you know, they serve a lot of they do a lot of what the government should be doing. You know, we're seeing it right now. You know, the people are putting their hand in the pocket to bail out the NHS.
I know. I mean, like,
The government has been actively underfunding it for decades,
well,
so they can sell it.
the NHS should not be treated as a charity.
It's ridiculous. I mean, it's wonderful that people are doing this, but like, where's the anger?
Yeah.
Where's the, you cheeky fuckers have been underfunding this for 20 years, so you can sell it off to your buddies.
Yeah.
Now here we are all dying, and you know what? And it makes you very angry, and we could all have. I could have done more and more of a voice about it. I felt I did my bit, but it's scary to see just how this political landscape is so, like, obviously we all knew Boris Johnson got the nod because he will do anything he's told, and he pushed Brexit through.
He's basically a puppet to Dominic Cummings.
Yeah, of course. And I saw a really good tweet the other day by this lady who writes for Times in New York, saying, you know, Boris he was put there because he'll push Brexit through, and the whole Tory, well, not the whole, you know, but the vast majority of the Tory new boys were brought in because they were pro-Brexit, and you see it now, like, Cummings, they haven't got a clue what to fucking say about this pandemic, because they're morons, you know. And that's sad.
It's sad, but
how many people have to die? And you know, like you and me, I'm sure you're in the same position as me. Like, we're lucky. You know, I feel very lucky. My parents, both from council estates, work their asses off. My mother is still a carer. She's been working throughout this whole thing. Even working for people who've said to her, you know, don't. She's dropping things off at people's doors, and you know what I mean. And my dad is a gardener and grafted his up.
I'm really lucky to have been having, like, kind of one of those carers myself, you know.
Right.
And it's because of like she used to come into my flat and she'd keep, you know, the upkeep sort of thing, and make sure that I had my bills paid, and like kind of made sure that, you know, that she'd help me with doing my, like, washing and washing up.
Making sure there wasn't anything extra to compound and deflate you too much.
Basically, well, she still helps me with like doing my washing something. Like, she'll come around and she'll also like still stop around and have like a 20-30 minute chat sort of thing. Like a few minutes away.
That's what you tend to find with people who are carers. They do this because they couldn't be further away from Tory politicians. These are people who care so much that they risk their lives and do it for way less than they deserve.
Yeah, definitely.
And they are, and that's the problem. And my mum's very similar. People will take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Because it's in her soul to care for people. They're called carers, not as a profession, but as a vocation, you know. And here we are, clapping for them on a Thursday, and it's beautiful and wonderful.
It's beautiful symbolism, but it's also like kind of empty when you see, to some extent.
It's challenging, that clapping thing, because the girl Abby upstairs works for the NHS, so I want her to know that we appreciate her.
Of course.
But I'd much rather not have to clap and her get paid $100,000 a year.
Yeah, exactly. Which is what they should be getting paid. You know.
Yeah. Right on. But what's it going to take? I mean, like, people seem so apathetic. You know, like, if this ain't going to cause some kind of political revolution, then nothing will. Well, these people have contributed to the deaths. Boris Johnson contributed to the deaths of 50,000 people.
Yeah.
Well,
But more.
I mean, I don't want to get too
That's
dark
it.
at the end of the 10 to 8. I've still got to have my pasta.
Oh,
But
yeah, sorry, is it 10 to 8 now, is it?
but it does. But what it does, what I have noticed is that
It is.
just on my street, people are so much more together, and there is a genuine sense of us and them. And I just hope that the political landscape reflects, and people like my wonderful father
Yeah.
all of a sudden realise that the Tories aren't for them. And
I'd,
you know,
yeah, what I'd probably try and do is try and find some sort of creative outlet for it,
well,
really.
just another reason why the Tory government have made an active move against the working classes. You know,
Yeah.
denying people a chance to express themselves is a evil thing.
Mm.
And
Yeah,
denying children with special needs and you know, children with educational issues and do so well out of the creative arts.
yeah.
And the amount of underfunding, it's like a active, it feels very much that. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but it feels like an active move, you know. It's dark. Anyway,
Yeah.
on that note, I should probably go and eat something, Jack.
Yeah. Look after yourself, Bill.
I don't want to get too like sweary and
No, don't.
because it's positivity, isn't it? That's what we want. That's what we've got
Yeah.
to put out into the world and love.
I think also empathy as well.
Very important.
Kindness and understanding.
Absolutely.
Which is the reason why I'm lucky I've got brought up by two softies myself.
That's right. It's right. Well, I think that's absolutely right. Understanding leads to acceptance. It takes very little effort to accept something if you take the time to understand it.
I think it's also just like speaking to people in general.
Yeah.
If you learn in a way to like not talk down to anyone, then that's a big step forward.
Right on. Jeff for president.
No.
All right, I'll take the job.
I wouldn't want my ego to get that big.
Yeah, I can't see that. But... All right, mate.
Yeah.
Great talking to you, Jeff. Lots of love, mate. Speak to you soon.
Take care, Bill.
All the best, lad. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah,
I don't know what I'm doing either.